and we'll go ahead and get started. We have several topics that we will be going over today. I'll start off with a little summary of what's to come. We're going to begin the discussion with a group itinerary and group itinerary creation overall. I've got a few tips and tricks that I'll be sharing with y'all, and we'll have more information as we move forward. I'm also going to talk a little bit about how to use an external website and add that into your booking or into your itinerary information. We talked a little bit about this on some of our past trainings, where on a past training, you might have remembered we talked about how to do a weather forecast. We also did a currency converter. And today, a lot of questions came through asking about the post-trip survey. So I'll talk a little bit about how we can create that post-trip survey and just further enhance your itineraries to give a larger experience or a more enhanced experience for your clients as they travel. We're going to kind of round it all up with just a little bit of a refresher on the HIDE booking from the traveler perspective. I know we had a few questions about that, so we'll go through that as well. Okay, so let's start off with our group concept. Now, within AXUS, of course, you can create itineraries for one traveler. You can create itineraries for multiple travelers within a group. Whether you are a client-based user, whether you're simply building the itinerary or importing itinerary details into AXUS, you can utilize the copy itinerary feature to branch off of what I call a master itinerary. Now, if you're using client-based and you've already created multiple res cards for each of your group members or each family, that's fine as well. We'll still talk about how you can use that copy itinerary to perhaps add items like a group dinner reservation and then just copy it into the other existing itineraries that came over. But the main concept we're going to focus on is starting with one itinerary and then using the copy itinerary feature to branch off and create identical, or I should even say similar, so to speak, itineraries. So here we have a group trip. They're heading to London. I have this itinerary for the Jones family, and it's a very simplified itinerary we have, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more in depth about this first item, a group updates board. We've got some baggage information, flight, transfer, hotel, a dinner reservation, and then returning information. So what I want to do is I want to start off with this main master itinerary. I want to add my images. I want to add all the bookings and really make it as complete as possible before I go ahead and copy components into other itineraries or new itineraries that I'm planning to create. Now, a little tip before you go ahead and use that copy itinerary feature is in the title, and I see this quite a bit, you really want to categorize your itinerary names with some keyword or distinctive phrase, something that you'll know the difference between the itineraries. Of course, having the traveler profiles is one way, but when you're using the copy itinerary feature, especially if you have to come back and add a dinner reservation or anything where you're copying to an existing itinerary, and we'll talk about that when we get there, you really want to make sure that you know which itinerary is which. If I have 10 trips that are all titled group trip to London, it's going to be really hard for me to know whose itinerary is who. So this is going to be your first step. Really quick, I noticed that we had a comment about not seeing. Can everybody see? Can I just get a few people to message me in the chat section, let me know that they can see my screen okay? That would be fabulous, just to make sure. Perfect, thank you. So we have our Jones last name. In the title, we have some way that we can identify it. Now, I don't have to keep it in when I publish it. You can always remove it by going to your gear icon, edit itinerary. But for now, This is going to save me a lot of time and really eliminate any guessing game. So let's talk about now our branching off. We're going to come to the three dots icon, copy itinerary, and for some of us, this might be a reminder. For those that might be a little bit newer to our advanced training, we're going to do a quick run through about the difference of copying or adding a linking component between bookings. This is a really great feature when you have itineraries that have similar or identical components. Copying, of course, is going to do what we all know. It makes a copy, identical copy of a booking from this itinerary into another. The linking component comes in handy when you have a booking that is 100% the same from one itinerary to the next. Let's start to go through, and I think as we talk about the different examples, you'll see when each option comes in handy. Now, this first item we have, the group updates board. This could be something, and this was something that I actually spoke to one of our users about, and we were kind of playing back and forth with different ideas on how we can utilize an update. For the messaging section, as you may or may not know, the messaging section is per itinerary. We don't yet have a way where messages could go between itineraries or cross messaging per se. So this is a way that I can go ahead and link this. Really, it's an other/notes booking. I'll open it when we copy it over, but an other/notes booking. I gave it a title, group updates board, anything you want to title it. And then in my notes section is where I would post any updates. Now that I've chosen to link it, what the linking is going to do is it's going to create a sync, a connection between the group updates board for my Jones family and the group updates board for my Smith family, the new itinerary that we're creating. So linking is going to come in handy when you want to save information and have it update in all other linked group update board bookings. Now, the reason why I talk about the difference between linking and not linking is you only, again, want to link when the information is 100% the same from one booking to the next. So let's continue with our list. American baggage information. This is just a statement of information that I'm adding to any international flight. So this could be like your terms and conditions, for example, visa information. It doesn't really change per client. I don't have traveler specific information like a confirmation number or a seat or a class or a passenger name. Speaking of passenger name, now we've got a flight. Even if they're on the same flight, maybe they have a different record locator. If I've added my passenger name field or seats or frequent flyer or e-ticket number, those are all details that are going to be different per itinerary. So I only want to copy. I do not want to create a link because if I go back into it and accidentally save all, it's going to save all with all the fields in that booking. So we're going to keep it just copied because that will allow me to make a copy of the information, but I can then go in and add the traveler specific details related to my new Smith family. Group transfer, I got a nice van or charter bus for everyone so we can link. And notice that when we click the link, it also clicks off to copy. Intercontinental, my hotel, this is really depends on how you build it. If you've added confirmation numbers, if you've added rooming details, you want to copy it. If it's really just the general information about the hotel, you didn't add specific rooms, go ahead and link it. Dinner reservation, it's a group dinner, it's all the same. Again, we have our group transfer and then our flight, which we are just going to copy. So you can see here all the items we've linked are going to be exactly the same from one itinerary to the next. And then, of course, all the ones that show up as just copied will have unique information per each itinerary for that traveler. Okay, so we've gone through each one of those. And then, as I said, you have two options. You can either copy to an existing. So let's say we're a client-based user. We have all of our individual res cards per family, but we went in and we added a dinner reservation that I now want to copy into each booking. When I go to copy to the other existing itineraries, this is where that last name or whatever unique keyword you've added into the title is going to come in handy, because now, let's say I typed in group trip to London, I could get 10 results. But if I type in Smith, oh no, we're on the Jones, the Jones, then that pulls up any trip with the name Jones in the title. So there's my group trip to London, and I can immediately click on that option. There's no guessing game. I know exactly which itinerary we are copying into. Otherwise, we're going to copy to new for our current example, and this is going to allow us to branch off and create similar itineraries with the bookings we have here. Photos, images are all going to pull through. I'm going to remove the copy of text and we'll put Smith family. The dates are still the same. If you have clients with an earlier start date, a later end date, you can always adjust here. You can adjust it later on and then click create new. This is going to pull us into our now Smith itinerary. And what you see here is going to show the difference between the linked items and our regular copied items. So anything that we gave the link capability is going to have that booking linked icon. Anything that was just copied is simply blank. And to look really quick at the difference, let's say I wanted to now make an update. I wanted to add something under my group updates board. And here I'll just show you kind of what I have. I added an image. You don't have to. You can if you'd like. I gave it a title. I put this as a high priority just to help it stand out a bit more on the PDF and web view. And any notes or updates can go here. So throughout the trip, if I have an update that I want to send everybody, I can simply delete what I have here, add my new update to this field. And then what I can do is I click Save All. And when I click Save All, that pushes the update to any other itinerary with that group updates board and the linking connection. So that's an immediate update that I can now send to everybody. Those that are using their mobile app will get the pop-up push notification if they've enabled that notification setting. So this is a nice way to kind of communicate on your behalf if you have any updates. Of course, you can still always use the messages section, but if you're working with 10, 20, 30 or so itineraries, this is a really quick and easy way to just do it one time. Now, the other item I remember that I had promised one of our users that we would talk about is it's always good to set the expectation for your travelers, for your clients. And one of the items we talked about was creating a booking that outlined a little bit about what to expect for this group itinerary. And this could be something similar like how to use this app or what to expect, tips and recommendations, however you want to phrase it. And it could simply be items, for example, the messages section. This is a group messages section. So if you send a message, it's going to be sent to the other travelers on this itinerary and me as the agent. Maybe I want to put a notice or a little snippet about the plus icon in the mobile app. If you don't want your travelers using that plus icon to add their own bookings in the mobile app, that could be something that we put in the pre-travel section under, expectations of this app, how to use this app. The plus icon is going to show any added components for everybody on this trip. So if they don't realize that, if they think that this is a private feature, we should really help them to set that expectation. So again, this could be something that you create one time, similar to that group updates board or American Airlines baggage information, and then you just simply add it to each one of your group itineraries. You can pull it from your library. And this is just an example. Have all that information already added, and then just quickly add that into each itinerary. Or again, if you do it before you start copying the itineraries or branching off, you just have to do it that very first time and use the copy itinerary feature. So this is a really nice idea. As I said, I'm glad I thought about this, because I do have a user that had brought it up, setting the expectations for your travelers so they know how their best practice or the best practices of using the mobile app. It never hurts to set that expectation. Again, if you need more information, if you need more inspiration on that, feel free to reach out. We're always happy to help. But again, feel free to be creative. This is really in your hands, and we're of course here to be a sound off board for any tips or recommendations you might need. Okay, so we have our group itinerary that we've created. We've talked a little bit about the copying and the linking. And then of course, you'll want to just add the travelers per each new itinerary that you create. Moving on, if anybody has questions about the group itinerary creation process, feel free to shoot a message in the chat section. The next item we're going to talk about is a post-trip survey. Let's go ahead. I'm going to scroll down to my post-travel section. We're going to add a new booking, other/notes, and I'm first going to show it to you what it looks like on the back end. I'll show it to you on the traveler perspective. And let's type in post-trip survey. I'm going to pull it from my library. Again, something one and done. Create it that first time, add it each time after that. What I did here was I gave it a title, kept it simple, post-trip survey. You could do feedback form, how was your trip, etc. Added the image, thank you, found that online. And then I have just a simple kind of statement here, and then I created a live link with the word survey. So this is just how we talked about before. If I click on the word survey, it shows me a preview of the URL. And we'll create one just to kind of refresh those who might have missed it. Now, if we go to our online web view, I want to show you what that looks like. Oh, you know what? It'd be smart if we save the booking. And save. There we go. And let's go to our web view here. So we're going to go on down. We're going to go past our group updates board. And I can also do a little shortcut on my table of contents. So here we have that post-trip survey now from the client perspective of our web view. And again, we have a clickable link through the word survey. So when they click on that brief survey, it will pull them in to a survey we created. Now, this survey, this is just an external link. You can use, I've used Google Forms, you can use SurveyMonkey, you can use any survey engine or any survey website. Again, we're using an external website. We're not building the survey inside of AXUS. We're just copying a URL and adding it into the booking and linking, creating a clickable link. So this can be any survey website that you're familiar with, that you've used before. It doesn't have to be Google Forms. Just to show you, if anybody is interested in Google Forms, I'll just show you a quick little tutorial. We'll go to a new tab, Google Forms, and this links up with your Google, or I should say Gmail account. So you could just do it just as you would do docs or sheets or anything like that. We're going to go to Google Forms, and it's a quick little tutorial of starting a new form. You can play around with the coloring, customize the theme here. If you want to add an image for the header, a background color, font, you can play around with that here. Give it a title. And then start adding your questions. And you could put your answers here. And any question you feel like adding, of course, whatever is meaningful information, you can add that. They have just also the ability to add images, videos, if you choose to do so. And then most importantly, you can preview it so you can see what it looks like on the traveler perspective. And then I'd say probably the most important part is grabbing that URL, because that's what you're going to need in AXUS. So you click this button up at the top that says send. It doesn't send anything. What it does is it gives you the options of how do you want to access the information, or how do you want to send it out. You could technically email it, but for the purposes of our webinar, we are using the second option. You see where it says send via, the link option here. You want to grab the URL. So we're going to copy it, come back into AXUS. Let's go back here. And let's say I'm going to insert new below. We'll just create a quick one here. And then when we go to the notes section, we're going to type in a quick sentence, again, however you want to phrase it. Okay. And then choose your word that you, or your display term that you want to create that clickable link. So we're going to highlight the word here, select the link icon, and then we're going to simply paste in that full URL here. So we've got the URL from Google Forms, and we click save. That creates that live clickable link. Again, to create that clickable link, you're going to highlight the word and then click this linking icon. And that's when the pop-up will appear asking for what's the URL that you want your clients to be directed to. So as we talked about, for those that joined any of our other webinars, our other advanced trainings, we talked about how to bring in external websites like AccuWeather.com to create a forecast booking, or Xe.com to create a currency converter. Here, we've now created a survey. And again, you can use any one of these external websites. If you have other ideas, I always say this, we would love to know your creative ideas as well. It just helps kind of keep the juices flowing. So if anybody would like to share as well, if there's any other way that you've used external websites to create these, so to speak, enhancements within your bookings, feel free to put it in the chat section. You can send it to the entire audience if you would like to share it with everybody here as well. Okay, so we have our example of a quick post-trip survey. And again, it's not done inside of AXUS. We're using an external website. So any of the survey responses, you would get that from SurveyMonkey, Google Forms, whatever website you're using to generate and receive the information. Okay, we just create that wonderful clickable link to direct your clients to taking that survey. Now, the final item to discuss for our webinar today is just a quick refresher on hiding booking information from the client perspective. This comes in handy anytime you are still working on an item. It doesn't matter if the itinerary is unpublished. It doesn't matter if it's published. They could be viewing on the mobile app. They could be viewing on the web view or the printable version. This feature will remove a specific booking from all three of those traveler perspective, all those views, the different traveler views. How do we do that? So what we're going to do is, let's say we're still working on flights. Maybe I have sent my clients their online web view as a preview or as a proposal, but we're still working on flights. So what I'm going to do to hide it from the traveler perspective is I come on over to the three dots icon, and right below where you can add a new booking, you have hide booking from traveler view. I'm going to click on that option, and what you'll see is our handy dandy icon. And this icon here, it's going to show that this is a booking that is hidden. If I hover over, of course, any of the icons, it will always tell you what function is going on here. And this one has hidden the booking. So we've hidden the New York to London component. Let's go back to the online web view. I'm going to refresh the web page. And notice how I no longer have my January 2nd date displayed. So it's removed it from the summary, it's removed it from the table of contents, and it's removed it from the day-to-day information. Now, when I'm ready to undo and now display the information on the client perspective, all I have to do is come back, hover over the three dots, and simply click Unhide Booking from Traveler View. No more icon here. And if we refresh one more time, there's the January 2nd flight. And we can also see that within our table of contents summary. So it will automatically reappear. The other kind of option that you have is you have the ability to remove items from the table of contents, but still keep it in the day-to-day. Let's say, for example, I just wanted my table of contents or my summary to show the actual day-to-day information. And I'm okay with having the group updates and the baggage information within the day-to-day, but let's just say, for an example, I didn't want it in the summary. I can now go ahead and hover over, and the other option we have is to hide it from the table of contents. So I'm going to click that option. We're going to do the same for the American Airlines. And now when we come back here and we refresh, our table of contents / summary, you can see it on both parts, only shows the day-to-day information. We could do the same with the post-trip survey if we chose to do so. But if we go to the day-to-day, we have the group updates board and the baggage information. So it's still there. I've just elected to remove it from that table of contents. And this is also, if you're trying to shorten up the PDF or you're trying to remove any items that might not be as necessary to have within the summary, you can always use that option as well. You also have the ability to completely remove that table of contents summary by heading to the gear icon, Edit Itinerary. So this is going to be at the itinerary level, and you have the checkbox to hide all bookings from the table of contents. So you can completely remove it from the web view and the PDF if you choose. Just check off that box and save itinerary. Come back to the web view once more and refresh, and you can see that it just goes from the itinerary level image, dates, trip title into the day-to-day. And we've also removed the table of contents to the right. So you can have it displayed this way. Let's generate a quick PDF. And same here, we just go straight into our itinerary without that summary. So you have all the options available for you, and of course, you can always uncheck if you decide to add it back in. So there's never a too late option. You can always remove it or add something back in. Okay, so it looks like we have one question, I believe. So I'll scroll back up just to make sure. Yeah, one question. If anybody else has questions, this is your time. Get it in the chat section so we can go through it. If you prefer to ask it offline, if it's more on a specific itinerary or something you want to chat with us, you can always email us, and I'll put this in the chat section. support@axustravelapp.com, support@AXUS travel app.com. I just sent it through the chat section. You can always reach out to us, of course, at the support email address. I'm going to go ahead and I'll read the question out loud. What would the difference be in putting the survey link in the website section? So great question. And let's go ahead. We'll open up our survey here. Now, the website section, you can definitely add it there instead. The difference is if we put a website, let's just do example.com, it's going to show the URL. And if that's something you're fine with, fantastic. The website field is going to automatically create a clickable website, clickable link for you. So you don't have to do any linking in the website field. It's going to take that URL and direct it on the client perspective. That being said, make sure you want to copy the entire URL, exactly as you see it on the website, just to be sure that when your client clicks on it, it's directing them to an active page. Let's go ahead, we'll save it, and I'll show you what the difference looks like. Okay, we'll go to our post-trip survey. So what they would see is they would see it within the kind of gray placeholder here that has the general information like title, email, URL, address, and phone number. So it would display here, you don't want to put any additional words like click this link and then the URL in the website field. The website field only would house a URL. So if you prefer to do it that way, feel free. If you'd like to add maybe some information or instructions in the notes section, you have both options. So I hope that helped answer your question. And then another one, what again was the difference on why to use messages versus the group updates board? Yeah, absolutely. So the reason why I had brought up the group updates board is because the messages section is specifically for the itinerary. But if you have, let's say, 5 group itineraries and you need to send a message out to everybody, you would have to do it per each itinerary. So you would do it 5 times. The group updates board provides a way that you are adding, quote unquote, a booking into an itinerary and linking it to the 4 other trips. So if I wanted to send off a note or just, maybe make a note, of course, we can update something like a transfer time being changed because we have that in a booking. But if I just wanted to send a note to my clients or an update about anything, I could put that in the notes section here and click Save All. When I click Save All, it shoots off that update and it's going to update the information to my clients, and it's going to send off a push notification on their app that says that their group updates booking has been updated. So this would also be something that you want to communicate to them. Tell them, I've added, you'll see the first item, for example, in your itinerary is going to be where I post updates or notes or just things for you to know. And then that also lets them know that they need to be checking this booking. And that's kind of why I also mentioned the idea of creating a booking that talks a little bit about expectations, how they should be working with the app, best practices, and say your group updates board, make sure you're checking that. When you get back to the hotel and you have Wi-Fi, refresh your app. See if there is something that we've added for you. Let them know that's where they want to come to see any updates or notes from you. And again, you can always use the messages section, but this just helps you do it one time instead of doing it per each itinerary. Yes, and the linking is definitely important for groups. I saw that comment. But again, linking for bookings that are exactly consistent and the same from one itinerary to the next is when you would want to link. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions. And I know a lot of us, we've got the evening ahead of us, and some of us, we've got the morning ahead of us. So I will let everybody continue with the rest of their eve or morning. But again, if questions do arise, support@axustravelapp.com. We'd love to hear from you. And go ahead, if you guys have suggestions for our December advanced training, send it on over. We will start taking topics, questions, items that you guys want to see, things that are useful and helpful to make your experience even better. I see we have one more question. I will grab it. If anybody has to hop off, feel free. We'll have this in the recording. I do love off-topic questions. So let's see what this one is about. How do I get easily from adjusting one itinerary to another without having to close it? Okay, so how to go back and forth between itineraries. I'm going to show you one way that I also use specifically on the itineraries page, and this is more of a browser way to search. So there isn't specifically an easier way, I should say, to go back and forth. Let's say if you have group itineraries, but you'll always want to go back to your main itineraries page. And as I said, this is more of a browser feature. I'm using Google Chrome on my Mac, and if I click my Command F, it gives me a search bar. So if you're not sure how to do it, you can also just Google it for your computer. As I said, I'm on a Mac Chrome browser. I do Command and then the letter F, and this allows me to easily go through my itineraries. So this is, I'd say, probably the quickest way to navigate through, especially if you've got a lot of itineraries, just typing in a keyword here at the top. And the other thing you just always want to keep in mind is the filters. So if the itinerary is past the 6-month mark in the future, go ahead and adjust the filter first. Hopefully that helps answer your question. All right, everyone, I'm going to sign off, but I appreciate you all so much for joining us today and have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care for now. Bye-bye.